Alright, so the purpose of this video is to walk you through the steps to importing your window and door schedules for your floor plan. So here you see on the screen, we see that we have our floor plan set up and drafted. Again, this is just an example, and it's a very simple example. Okay, it doesn't show the dimensions, it doesn't show anything yet that you would typically see on a floor plan. But again, this video is to walk you through the steps to incorporate your window and door schedules and go from that point. So what we're going to do here is we're going to bring in, using AutoCAD Design Center, our window and door schedules template. So first we're going to go to AutoCAD Design Center, and we've done this before, so we want to go to ADC. And what that allows us to do is it allows us to find the file that we want to borrow information from. What I've suggested in the past is to put the file that you're going to look for, to put it on your desktop so you can quickly find that in this folder list tree of information, because sometimes it can be cumbersome and hard to deal with. So what I recommend again is to put it on your desktop. So we're going to go to my desktop, and I'm going to look for the file that is called Windows and Door Schedules or Schedule Template. So I'm going to double click that. Before I double click that, if I just single click on that, it's going to show me an image of what we would see on Paperspace. So if this is the file that you want, then you want to just double click that icon. Again, in AutoCAD Design Center, we can incorporate or bring in all of these various components from that particular CAD file. For this particular example, we want to go to Layouts. On Layouts, you'll see just one Paperspace layout that we can incorporate into our current CAD file, and so we want to highlight Schedules, left click on it and hold that left key, drag and drop it into your current CAD file. When you do that, you should see the Windows and Door Schedules Layout tab on the lower part of your screen. So I'm going to close this window, and I'm going to go to that specific Layout tab. So what I've provided for you are multiple things. On the left hand side, you'll see it labeled in big bold letters, Sample. Then you'll see a title block with other pieces of information that says Template. So on the left hand side, the one that says Sample, again, this is just a sample of what is expected for you for your project. You'll see various components, so the number. So when we're dealing with window schedules, a window schedule is a schedule or a table that shows us all of the windows that are incorporated on your design. It breaks it up into an organized fashion, meaning that if you have one specific window, it's going to be designated by a specific bubble. So for example, A01, that would be the first type of window that we would use for this floor plan. It's going to give us the dimensions. Notice that we're placing width then height. So the width is first, the height is second. Window type, that's going to be the type of window that you're incorporating onto your floor plan. The location would be the elevation that we would find that window. Remarks are pieces of information that would help us purchase that type of window, meaning that it would tell us the manufacturer, any specific requirements that are required for Title 24, and various specifications that are included with that window. Quantity is the number of windows that we would see on the total floor plan. So if we're using all of the same types of windows on the floor plan, you would only have one row for your window schedule. If you're using different types of windows throughout your floor plan, each row is going to represent a different window. So if you're using the same manufacturer, for example, but each window is a different size or different requirements for Title 24, you're going to have a different row per window. So the windows that you see that have one set of dimensions, that means that the window has just one component on it. If you see a window that has multiple dimensions, meaning multiple rows of dimensions, that means that the window that you would see on the floor plan is composed of multiple windows that then are assembled into a solid piece of window. Okay, so maybe you have, maybe you're designing a window that not only is a picture window meaning that it's a single pane, does not open, but you're assembling that with an awning window so that we have a large window to show, but it's composed of multiple different types of windows. So we have that ability to use different types of windows and assemble them together so they become one solid window. Okay. On the door schedules are denoted by the letter B, and door schedule text is surrounded by a rectangle. Again, you're going to show the dimensions, width by height, the material that it's made out of, the location. Location here, instead of saying the location in terms of elevations, the location is just going to denote whether it's an interior or exterior door. Remarks again is the manufacturer as well as any specifications that are required. And you'll also want to note the side that the hinge is located on. So if the hinge is on the right hand side, you're going to note that the hinge is right. If the hinge is on the left hand side, you're going to note that the hinge is left. Okay. And quantity is the number included on that floor plan. So again, this is the sample. So once you understand the sample and you understand what you need, you don't need to include it in your CAD file. What you do need to have is the template, and we're going to just delete that text that says template, and then you're going to fill out the window schedule and you're going to fill out the door schedule based on what you see on your floor plan. Okay, so you've designed your floor plan, you've designed and you figured out what size windows you want to incorporate on that floor plan. You've decided what type of doors you want to include on that floor plan. So again, your floor plan is your own design. So everybody is going to have, in this class, everybody's going to have a different window and door schedule sheet in terms of what's included on that sheet. You'll notice on the upper left-hand corner of that title block that I've given you pieces of information that then you can copy over to your floor plan. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to highlight those three components. I'm going to do Control-C for copy. And then we're going to go to our floor plan layout tab in the same CAD file. Okay. So I have scaled this drawing so that I will see the floor plan. I believe I used half scale, ½ inch equals a foot. All of your drawings are different depending on the size of your floor plan. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to paste those three components, okay? And at first I'm going to just paste them in paper space. So I know again that I'm in paper space because my viewport is thin, okay? And if I look on the lower left hand of the screen, I see this blue triangle. The blue triangle represents that, again, we are in paper space. If I double clicked in that viewport, if I double click inside that viewport, the viewport then becomes bold, which is an indication that yes, I am now in model space, meaning I can touch the information, okay? As well as the cursor or the UCS display turns into the XY. Okay, so the blue triangle turns into a white L shape with the XY coordinate on there, and the viewport again becomes bold. So if I double click outside of the viewport, again I am back in Paperspace. So what I want to do here is I want to copy this information over the viewport because I want to incorporate this type of information inside the viewport at model space. So just as a reference, I'm going to just do a CO for copy and paste it over the viewport. I've left it here so you can see in this video that when we move things from between Paperspace and model space using a specific command, the specific command incorporates the viewport scale and scale factor, changes the size of the text so that it still looks like it is in Paperspace. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use the command called change space. So it's CH space, and I hit enter. What this is going to do is I'm going to highlight the text that I want to then throw into model space from Paperspace through the viewport. I highlight the text. Once I have it highlighted, I just hit enter. And what it's physically done is it's taken the text from Paperspace, put it into model space, and scaled it so that it still looks like it did when we initially brought it in. If I list the text, if I do LI for list, and we show our text information, it tells us the text height is 3 inches. Okay, the text height is 3 inches for this particular viewport because, again, the scale of the viewport is 1/2 inch equals a foot. The scale factor is 24. 24 times 1/8 of an inch is 3 inches. So the text has to be 3 inches tall in the viewport to plot or to print at 1/8 of an inch tall. Okay. If I was in Paperspace and I list that text that I originally copied in, I list that and it says it's 1/8 of an inch. It's 1/8 of an inch because in Paperspace the text is 1/8 of an inch. So change space, the command CH space, again, what it does is it takes the text, throws it through the viewport into model space and scales it accordingly so that it looks like it did when it was brought into Paperspace. Okay, so what this happens to be is we have 3 pieces of text that then we can copy throughout our floor plan and label our various windows, doors, and room sizes. Okay, so I'm going to move this guy here. I'm going to copy it to every room that I need to incorporate this piece of text. Okay. Again, this is a very simple floor plan. You will have multiple bedrooms, multiple bathrooms, so forth and so on. But this just gives you an idea of what is expected. Okay. So the room designation is going to be the name of the room, so whatever it happens to be. We'll say family room. And then the size is going to be the length times the width. Okay, so whatever dimensions you wish to use for that, we can figure those out. So I'm going to do this distance, 13 feet 10. So we went around to the nearest inch. 13 feet 10 by 15 feet 0. So here I can say 13 feet 10 by 15 feet 0 inches. Okay, so that gives the person the ability to, if somebody is looking at your floor plan and they don't understand necessarily fractions of an inch, it gives them a basic idea of the dimensions of that room if you were providing this house floor plan to be built for a certain client, customer, or for yourself for that matter. Okay, so every room is going to have it's going to have its room designation. So this is an M bath, master bath. Okay, and then we would say the length and the width. Okay, laundry room. Depending on how much room you have for text, that is what we're going to do. Bed would be master bedroom. If you have multiple bedrooms, you're going to have a master bedroom, which would be the largest. And then you would have, if you had multiple smaller bedrooms, you would have bed 1 and then bed 2, so forth and so on. Okay? Okay. For this example, this is an office, and this is a master closet, MCLO. So closets are typically noted by a CLO, so forth and so on. This is a kitchen. So again, depending on how much room you have to incorporate text, you can either spell out kitchen or you can abbreviate. And this is a studio. Okay. So again, you're going to just give me approximate sizes, length by width for all of them. So it gives us the approximate size of each room. Now you'll notice that sometimes text overwrites components. Now if you want to modify that so that it wipes out or turns off the line work underneath the text, what we can do is we can go to our Properties menu. So by going to Properties, you can type CH for Properties or PR for Properties, same thing. Okay. What we're going to do is we're going to highlight that text. We're going to go to what we call background mask. Background mask allows us to mask or hide the line work underneath that text. So by default, the background mask for text is no. If I want to change that, I have to hit the icon to the right. We're going to check the box that says background mask. The border offset factor means the border width off of the text. So the smallest that you can do is a level factor of 1. And we're going to use the drawing background color. If you didn't specify the background color and you chose a color here, that would be the color that would be represented underneath the text. So for example, if I didn't check this box and I hit OK, it's going to turn red. Now if we tried to print this using our CTB file, it would be a big black splotch, and that's not what we want. We just want to hide whatever is underneath. So if I highlight that text again and I go to background mask and I check that box for use drawing background color and I hit OK, the background color is black. So therefore it's just going to hide what is underneath that text. Now if you don't want to have to do this every single time for the various pieces of text, you can do it for one, and then we can use our match properties, MA, and just match the properties to the other pieces of text. And when we do that, it incorporates the background mask for all that text, as you can see. Okay. So that component allows us to label all of our rooms. Then what we're going to do here is we're going to put in our window and door schedule symbols. So for this example, I have two windows here. I have a window here. I have two windows here, a window, a box window, and these are doors. These are our sliding glass doors. So I'm going to take this text, and remember this text represents windows. So I'm just going to put it where it serves the window best. Now for your floor plan, you're going to have all your dimensions on the outside. So typically we're going to put these symbols on the inside so it doesn't overlay with the dimension text. Okay, so I'm going to just copy this guy all over the place wherever I find a window. Okay, and you'll notice that when I do it over pieces of information like the furniture for the bed, it hides the information underneath, which is what we want. So it already has that built into this specific block. And maybe we'll put that here, or we could put that right there. Okay, so again, those are all of our windows. Now we're going to do the same thing for our doors. We're going to look on our floor plan and we're going to find all of the doors throughout the entire floor plan. So what I tend to do is I tend to just look around the exterior first so that I know that I'm getting all my exterior doors first, and then I come back inside and I find all of my interior doors. Okay, so this will be we'll just assume that this is a total French door, so it's just one door. If you were to order it, we have a barn door, barn door, barn door, interior. Okay, so those are our doors and those are our windows. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start to number them. If it's the same type of window and there's multiple copies of it, it's only going to have the same designation in terms of for your window schedule. So this window is the same as this window, okay? And so they're both going to be named or labeled A01. This is a different type of window, so this is going to be A02. These two are the same types of windows, but they're nothing like anything else, so these are going to be A03s. These are the same types of windows, so these will be A04s, so forth and so on. Okay? And then this one will be A05. So remember that just because your sliding glass doors are made of metal or whatever fiberglass, and they have glass in them, they are not considered windows, they are considered doors. Okay, so I've numbered all of my windows and now I can number all of my doors. Okay, so this is going to be B1. I come around the exterior face. This cannot be B1 even though the width is the same. Why? Because this is the hinges on the right for this and the hinges on the left for this, so it's a different type of door. How do you determine whether it's a left or right hinge? You always want to stand on the outside of, you want to picture yourself standing on the outside of the room or outside of the structure and looking in. Okay, so because if I was standing outside of the house looking into the house, the hinge would be on the left hand side, so therefore this is a left hinge door. In contrast, if I stood over here at this door, I'm standing outside looking in, the hinge is on the right, so therefore it is a right hinge door. Okay. Alright, so what we're going to do here is we have done those two types of doors, and these sliding glass doors are, this is going to be B3, and this one is going to be B4 because this one slides to the right and this one slides to the left. So just because, again, these are sliding glass doors, because they don't open the same manner, this piece of glass slides in that direction, this piece of glass slides in that direction, therefore they are two different types of doors. Then I'm going to come on to the inside. So I've ended with B4. This is going to be B5. B5 doesn't designate a hinge because it's what we call a French door. Okay. This is a B6. This is what we would call a right hinge door because we're standing in a larger room going into a bedroom. So we always determine that we're standing in the common area, and then if we're approaching and looking into our now bedroom, this is a right hinge door. So you always want to think about, when we were talking about the exterior doors, the exterior part of the building, meaning the outside, that is much larger area than the inside of the house. Therefore, we're standing on the larger area and looking to the smaller area, and that's how you decide or determine whether it's a right or left hinge. For here, this is a much larger area, the kitchen. We're looking into the bedroom, and therefore it is a right hinge door. So this is B6. This is B7. Okay. Now, depending on if you're using your barn doors, if you're using barn doors in the house, you can order them differently. Sometimes they come as though they're a single door and they have one rail. Sometimes they come with two doors and they have one giant rail. Sometimes they come with single doors and a single rail that you have to attach to the other rail. So there's all different ordering options for barn doors. So if for example, I wanted to order this as a single door and a single rail, this would be 7. If I wanted to order this with two doors and a giant rail, this could be B8. So there are different options for different types of doors. So we've labeled all of our doors and all of our windows. So we want to make note of everything that we've labeled. Write it down however you need to determine where these things are, so that then you can fill out your window and door schedule. So if we jump back over to the Schedules Layout tab, what we want to do is we want to make sure that whatever we have noted as A01 on our floor plan, the dimensions, the window type, the location, the quantity, and any remarks that you can find for that window need to represent what we see on the floor plan. So when I look at your floor plan, I'm going to compare and contrast to your schedules. So if I look at your schedule, it's going to tell me the width of this window. It better be the same on your floor plan. If it's not correct. So you always want to check your floor plan with your window schedules and your window schedules with their floor plan. Then you want to check your floor plan with your door schedules and check your door schedules with your floor plan. The importance of that is we make sure that it's consistent. If your floor plan's wrong and your schedules are right, that's not good. And if your floor plan is right and your schedules are wrong, that's definitely not good, because people typically order from your windows and door schedules. So if what we're showing on the floor plan doesn't match the schedules, typically an item would be ordered incorrectly. Very costly mistake. A lot of times if you order custom windows, you can't return them. If you order custom doors, you can't return them. So it's a costly mistake that you can't fix once the order is processed. So it's important that you check between the two sheets so that everything matches correctly. Okay. So you always want to make sure that whatever you have here matches exactly to the floor plan, as well as for your door schedules. Now I've provided 5 rows for windows, so I'm assuming you're going to have 5 or less window types. But if you need another row for windows, all you're going to have to do is you're going to have to highlight this information. Okay, it's just line work and text. So all you have to do is then do your copy command, copy from base point, so the top portion of that row, and come down and paste to the bottom portion of that row. Okay. Then we can change that to A06 and we're ready to go. All we need to do is extend those lines down, so we can use the extend command. I want to extend to that face, and I want to then just highlight everything using our crossing, and then they will all extend. Now if you only have two types of windows, you don't need to show A3 through A6. All you have to do is highlight what you want to get rid of, and then trim off again what you don't need. Okay. Same thing for doors. If you only have one type of door or two types of doors, you don't need to incorporate B3 through B8. If you need more than these types of doors, then again you're going to have to add rows. To add rows for your doors, it's exactly the same as your windows. So we're going to highlight what we need to copy and copy down. Okay? Then you're going to extend to that line, and we can do our crossing, and there we are. Then you're just going to make sure that you rename that as B9, and then we're ready to go. So now you'll see that you've walked through the process for your windows and door schedules, and you should be ready to go on to the next task for this project. One last thing to note is that you'll see on your windows and door schedules, especially the annotation text, you see this box. Maybe some of you will see this box and some of you will not. This box is what we call a window frame. So anytime you do a piece of information that has what we call a wipeout, wipeout again is masking what is going to be underneath it. So in our floor plan we see these boxes. Okay. If I have these boxes on and I print this thing, we will see that physical feature, that box. If we don't want to see that physical feature of that box, we can type wipeout frame. Okay? So wipeout frame allows us to turn off that frame so that we can still wipe out or text mask anything underneath that text, but we don't see that frame. So wipeout frame, and so you're aware when wipeout frame is set to 1, that means it's on, and if we set it to 0, it's going to turn it off. And when we turn it off, you will see the frame disappear, but that area is still masking what is underneath so that we can then read the text. Okay? To turn it back on, if for whatever reason you wanted to see that window frame, we would type wipeout frame, and again 1 to turn it back on. So some of you, depending on your settings in CAD, some of you may see that box and some of you may not, and that's how we toggle it on and off. So before we plot, we always want to do wipeout frame, and we want to turn those things off so that when we do plot, it's nice and clean. Okay, so that's the process that we're going to do for our windows and door schedules. And you're ready to move on to the next task. Thank you.